I clicked the links for Odysee and BitChute. Thanks to the dude who donated on coffee. That is pretty sweet. First of all, if you do cocaine or combine Adderall with a shot of whiskey, or you just shove benzos up your nose, stop. Go to a 12-step program. But if you're a director who uses some chemical assistance to get through the day, at least uninstall Twitter and other social media. Otherwise, you're going to look like a bit of an idiot. Arguing with people on Twitter is what exactly? When does it result in something tangible? I won a Twitter fight and this lady drove to my house and gave me a great back massage. That doesn't happen. They're more likely to drive to your house and delete you from this mortal coil with a 115 grain ibuprofen. Your brain is fooling you into thinking it matters. You think you're in a conflict of consequence because the neurotransmitters don't know the difference. And I mention the pharmacological assistance because I have to assume that that is the relevant situation here. When I see an adult or an apparent adult in an adult-sized body with maybe a child's brain acting like an emo girl on her period, I know that there are probably some powders and pills involved. These podcasters, they wanted attention, and they got attention. And so did Odin's movie blog. He's on YouTube. He's a great guy. He's got a great channel. Which is basically what it boils down to. Mangold was sitting on his couch, I imagine, allegedly doing lines of cocaine and drinking wine, and was just going to town on his laptop. The podcaster got a few more subs out of the deal, and apparently they have a studio with a Batman. Here's the thing. I see these YouTubers, and I know they're not listening. Gary, Anna, and Mecca, and I honestly enjoy them all. They're all really, really good at what they do. And I love Anna's art. Her style is brilliant. And no, that doesn't make me a simp. Ethan's style is brilliant also. And you know who actually has a really fun style? Cecil. He's got a weirdly vibrant, alive style. I can't afford any of Cecil's work, which is like, that's the power of YouTube, is like his stuff is going for a lot of money. Anyway, so I see that they have all the toys on the shelves and all this kind of like just crap. Those are all just dust collectors. Like, what are you vacuuming those like every few months? You taking a little hand vac or something? Don't you want a nice clean living space? I mean, at some point, don't you want to just give them all away? Give them to kids who, I guess, won't open them. They'll just put these packages. It seems so weird to me, collections of just things that like kids can't play with. I mean, I get it. They're valuable. It's like a commodity that you're just selling and reselling. Anyway, I am off Twitter, so when I go back and I look at these stories there, it feels dirty. Twitter is... I was going to tell a story about San Francisco Club, but I don't know. Maybe it's a little too weird for... Yeah, it's probably a little too weird for YouTube. Even saying the name of it's a little too weird for YouTube. And I look at the, oh god, what a way to bring up a story and then not go into it. Twitter is 99% obese people on Prozac who refuse to uninstall Twitter and eat a carrot. I promise you, you're not gonna miss Twitter if you quit it. And I feel that America would be a much better place if it didn't have Twitter, Netflix, box wine, and pills. Benzos are not really good. Benzos are for if you're afraid of flying and you have to fly like a few times a year. That's what benzos are for. They're not for like every weekend you want to relax. If people didn't have all that crap, you wouldn't have these constant stressing distractions. If you don't have constant bread and circuses, you start to see that your civilization has gone into decay and the barbarians are at the gate. It's as if all these social media sites are sort of controlled ops, a Sephora to placate the masses as the bankers rob them blind. People never stop to say, hey, what's the deal with the Federal Reserve or the gold standard? Why are we in debt and yet we can continue to spend money? And not only that, but we give money away. Gosh, that's weird. Why? It's almost like our politicians are selling out the country. But that's just crazy. Oh, no, actually, that's exactly what they're doing. Why are Maxine Waters, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Bernie Sanders so rich? because it looks like they got there on insider trading, which is illegal. And it's also a breach of their fiduciary duty of care to we the people. In a sane nation, they would be punished for that. And so my point is that when you have all these just constant distractions flashing neurotransmitters in your brain, you never just stop to look around and think, oh, this isn't very good, and we're headed to an even worse place. Maybe we should turn off the streaming services and just think about things for like a month of silence. So people drink wine and they click on Twitter, but they never actually do anything. They just order more pills. And in California, which I'm in, you can have weed delivered, which is great. I'm not saying don't have fun, don't cut loose. But Sarah Silverman actually wrote a book, and she had this great advice in her book called Make It a Treat, Miat. It's you do it infrequently. It's like, yes, have a joint and a glass of wine every Friday, not every day. Otherwise, it's not a treat. It's just the new normal. Anyway, so this Goldie guy is a little defensive about indie, and the podcaster mentioned Solo. Solo wasn't a Star Wars film. I mean, it didn't feel like it, but it wasn't a bad film. It bombed because of the prior films and what the guy was saying about the robot uprising and like Lando is into men now and into robots, and like people look at that and go, nope, not going to pay for that, not going to support that. But as a sci-fi adventure film, Solo did a lot of things right, and part of the problem was the two hobbits playing Han and Lando. No offense to short people, but the original characters were human-sized, not Mike Miller-sized. Gross. I'm actually on board with an 80-year-old archaeologist as long as it is a more cerebral role. Harrison Ford can pull it off. He can pull off a lot of things. But the thing nobody mentions is because of the political climate, you're not going to be able to make these kinds of films anymore. The Coomers on Twitter are going to criticize every single little detail. You couldn't make Temple of Doom today. Post-2020 BLM riots, you're going to get the Disney plastic fuck doll version of everything. Everything is going to be PC nerfed. Like, it's going to be nerf on top of nerf. Post-2020, you're never going to see anyone not blonde and blue-eyed in a negative role. In short, movies are going to suck donkey nuts. Post-riot films, Hollywood is going to take their anti-white masks off and make every story about the non-existent rise of neo-Germans. Never mind that Antifa and BLM have been deleting and struggle-snuggling people for the past few years. Nope, we're going to get American History X until Hollywood implodes, which eventually is going to happen. They're going to have to go bankrupt. You're going to get a rise of a new group of more based filmmakers who want to make shows that are just not globalist propaganda. And I mean, they're not going to be like, oh, you guys are all a bunch of this and that. And they seem to have this fantasy that it's, what does they say about the left and the right? The right thinks the left is confused, and the left thinks the right are literally Germans of the 40s. And there's a study that said that the right could empathize with the left, meaning they could see things from their perspective, but the left didn't know what the right was. They knew what CNN told them. And it's like, it wasn't that long ago when the left and the left was saying, oh yeah, it's this CNN and MSNBC and all these news sites, they're all fake, whatever, globalists. And like the left was very much about kill your TV. And then the left got taken over by the globalists. And you're like, oh, the SPLC, the ACLU, they're not what you think they are. They are just pure out-and-out globalists. Anyway, so this guy who wanted to get attention, got attention. Steven Spielberg is not directing. Well, then it's not worth watching. Kathleen Kennedy is producing. Again, that's strike two. Harrison Ford's 78 years old. Not the end of the world. Not the end of the world. It's like he doesn't... Yes, you're not going to have him swinging from vines and doing stupid things like that, like the last movie, which it wasn't horrible. But, 78-year-old, he's going to have to be a more intellectual. It's going to be like turning Batman back into the world's greatest detective instead of somebody who's just the Punisher or whatever. And it's written by the guy who wrote Solo. Again, not the end of the world. It's like Solo wasn't a Star Wars movie, but it wasn't bad. it wasn't. It just missed a few little things. Like, why did I know why the who's that rapper guy, the Lando guy, got the role? Because he's a he's a known name. But you would have been a lot better off going with somebody, an unknown actors who the audience could mold into their vision of Lando and Han. And really, replacing Han Solo is, that's going to be tough. And you're not going to do it with that smarmy, smirky little midget guy who played the role, Eisenberg, something. He was just, God, he was gross. And this guy, this gold guy, this guy is, fix your face. God, what is wrong with you? How much cocaine have you done? This guy looks like, I don't know, like every 70s lounge lizard doing coke with a sunken living room and shag carpeting and a Corvette. Gold chains, just massive, massive drug dealers. Anyway, like, comment, subscribe, guys, and I will see you all next episode.